Well, boys, it's been a busy day. Oh, well, after I left y'all the other day, yesterday maybe? I don't know. My days are running together. I got some sleep and woke up at like 4:30 this morning and decided it was a good day to build an engine. So, of course, I still ain't run my thread chaser through that hole. No big deal. Um, I got all the rings gapped. Bottom end is buttoned up. Oil pump pickups in. Put the camshaft in it this morning. All the tappets. Some of this stuff I put on here for mock-up. Um, the stage 2 Hamilton head is on there. Look at that. Beautiful. I set the pump up there just to get it off the bench. I needed to get in that cabinet right there. The head is torqued. 165 foot-pounds. I tell you what, that's a lot of damn work. I've got my water nipple on here. I've been doing some mock-up, trying to figure out how I need to run my hose down the block to get my water back up to this port here. For those of y'all been watching my videos for a while, originally when I put the camshaft in it, I had bought a Fleece Performance coolant bypass kit. Well, because they have a secondary thermostat in them, you can't run it on a first gen. The firewall is right there. It's like this thick and it don't clear. So that's a stock cast piece from Cummins. It clears. I had to grind just a little bit to make it clear the adapter plate. But what I'm going to do is I got a 90 or a 180 right here. She's going to go on there and send the water back up that side of the engine. Turbo and shit's just sitting up there for mock-up so I can figure out where everything goes along with my heater hoses and stuff like that. So let's give it a rundown real quick. It is a second gen storm block. It is not a 53 block. It is a second gen storm block. Board 20. I got a standard crank that's been balanced and polished. Standard mains and rods. Set of 12 valve rods that have been shot peened, balanced, rebushed. The crank has everything's got Molly bearings. I can't remember which bearings. I've got ARP main studs. I've got the what is it? Kidding machine or whatever rod bolts those are. And when you pull them out of the box, they say ARP on them. So, ARP rod bolts, ARP main studs, no girdle, not going that big. It is a Hamilton camshaft and their tappets. It is a 178-208, I believe. Keating machine cover. The pump is pretty hot. It's a 13 mil pump. I've got the dyno sheet over there. Don't make me dig it out. But it's about 350 or a little better cc. It's got a 4,000 governor spring in it. Let's see, what else we got? They're stock McB pistons in the first gen bowl. So they take the spray angle of the stock first gen injectors. It is a Hamilton Stage 2 head, which, if you do your research on the head, and don't quote me on this, the stock head flows like 155, 160 cc on the intake. I think this is over 200. So without any extra port work, it already flows a hell of a lot better. And it's bigger valves. I've got standard rockers. They are Hamilton springs, Hamilton keepers and retainers. The push rods are, they could have been shied. I don't know. I bought them like 12 years ago. And when I bought them, they were the best thing I could find. And I remember them saying they were good up to 750 horse. Cool. Let's see. IFG head studs. Innovative Fastener Group head studs. The Hamilton head is, of course, 7mm, not 9 like mine was. I've got a Steed Speed T4, but I've got an adapter on it down to a T3 for this little 62 that I got from Power Driven Diesel. So it's their Aggressor 62. And they did a video on this charger on a 12 valve truck, and it made over 500 horse. So I've got a little more pump and head than the truck that it was on, so let's hope it supports everything that I'm going to be throwing at it. Let's see, what other kind of mods we got? Oh, the injectors. They are, I don't know where they are. They are Dynamite Diesel Stage 3s, but they have been custom honed. Let's see, what did I sent them out 3 or 4 years ago to be rehoned. It's like a, I don't know, 230 horse injector, which I think the Stage 3s are like 150. Anyway, fairly large injectors. The truck does have it's got an old school Hillman fuel sump and an old school Fast 220. And if you don't believe me, I'll give you a part number. It is a 220 gallon per hour. Let's see, what else we got? The pump, of course, I hadn't put the gear on it yet. But I'm gonna put it back like I had it, and that is with the tooth skipped and rotated to the head. So if I do my math correctly, that's supposed to be real close to 30 degrees of timing, which should be just right. And a bunch of other billet stuff. This is the Crazy Carl intake. Let's see, this is my brand new low car dipstick. What else? Of course, I've got a 4-inch Marmon style downpipe. And right at the downpipe it goes to 5-inch. And then the truck's got a 5-inch cat stack in it. Everything is brand new. The only parts I'm reusing are basically the outer stuff, the oil pan, stuff like that. But new pistons, new rings, new wrist pins, new wrist pin bushings, new bolts throughout everything, brand new head. It's not even an old casting. It is a brand new out of the box head. The rocker pedestals have been cut for the studs. So talking to some people, they tell me that if everything is optimal with a VE pump, I should get about 1.5 horsepower per cc of fuel that I can deliver. So let's talk about that for a minute. My pump, I'm going to go conservative and say 350 cc. I've got oversized fuel tubes as well, and a healthy set of injectors. I've got a turbo that I've seen make over 500 horse, or, support over 500 horse, and I've got a head that flows way better than stock. Aftermarket manifold and plenty of timing. Now you do the math. 1.5 horsepower per cc of fuel. If I only got 1 horsepower per cc of fuel, I'd have 350. Doesn't sound like much. Horsepower and a half. So I'm gonna say 600 horse. Did I do that right? I don't know. I'm tired. My goal, I'd love, well, and I'm thinking about getting more injector. Did I say that right? 1.5 horsepower? Yeah. I'll have to do the math on it again. I did it. It's on a notebook. I've got a notebook. I've been writing down all my clearances. I've got all my receipts, all of my parts. I've got a folder on this engine for documentation. So that anybody ever has questions, or I sell the truck or whatever, there's no question about what's in the motor. I'd really like to see 650 at the crank. I'd be tickled if it was 550. My goal basically is, you know, these trucks factory, well, a VE pump truck from the factory, the sticker on the cover claimed 160 horse and 400 foot-pounds. So by today's standards, that ain't crap. You get an early common rail truck, they're 305. Of course, that was at the crank. And for anybody that knows first gens, this is a non-intercooled. So the non-intercooleds were actually a little bit hotter than they said, and they usually laid down about 175 at the tire. I've seen it on dynos before. They'll take a stock non-intercooled VE truck and make 170 at the wheels, not 160 at the crank. Now, the intercooled trucks weren't quite as hot, and I don't know why. They usually made 150-ish at the wheels, which is still hotter than what the sticker claims, but still. If I can get this thing up to today's standards, let's say, I don't know the horsepower ratings on newer trucks, but I'm going to talk about what I know. I know that a 04.5 and up common rail truck, 5.9, was, the high outputs I think were 325. So with air intake, exhaust, and a programmer, most of them trucks could be 450 horse. So I'm going to say 385 at the wheels. If I can make 400 at the wheels, then I'm basically up to today's standards. Now, I know there's a lot hotter trucks out there, than 400 horse at the wheels. Some of the Power Strokes and stuff like that, you can delete them and put a tuner on and make 700 horse. Well, I got a VE pump, and I'm leaving it a VE pump. Everybody goes P pump. I want to have a hot VE pump. I love my VE pump. It always fires up in the cold. It doesn't have a weird idle when it's cold. I've played with a lot of P pumps, and I've noticed that they're temperature sensitive. My old service truck was an FL700 Ford chassis cab, and it had a P pump in it. Had a HX40 on it, and a few other things. It did not like the cold. You had to high idle it yourself until it got warm enough it would idle. Now when it got warm, it would idle just fine. And my uncle's 98 12 valve truck does the same thing. When it's cold outside, yeah, it'll start, but you got to warm it up. I've never had to do with this VE pump. Also, this thing gets retarded fuel mileage. The truck has a built 727 in it and a 308 rear end gear. I've got 17x9s on it with a set of, what are they, 295 70 17s, which is right at a 33 1250. This thing was knocking down high 20s, low 30s in fuel mileage. And if you don't believe me, I'll pull gas receipts and mileage because I keep all that shit too. Power to weight ratio has something to do with it. And when you make just enough power that the engine does not have to work to move the vehicle, then it does damn good. Now, that ain't towing. Towing, it got, I don't know, mid-teens. But you got to think, a 308 rear end gear ain't nothing to write home about. So, in conclusion, I'm going to call her 700 horse for now. That's what I'd like to see. If it don't make that, Then I'll get some more pump. I'll get some more injector. Who knows? I'll do something. But I have a feeling my limiting factor may be this little charger. Now, my old HX40 was okay. It wasn't nothing to write home about. It was free at the time. I thought it was time for an upgrade. It's definitely an upgrade. It's a lot nicer charger than what my 40 was. My 40 was a billet wheel. But how much does a billet wheel really do for you? Anyway, she's together. I'm gonna let it sit overnight, check the head one more time tomorrow, and then I'm gonna start doing other stuff to it. I've got my rebuild kit for my power steering pump and vacuum pump. I'm gonna go ahead and tear all that apart, clean it. I'm gonna finish bolting the adapter plate on. You know, just do a little tidbit stuff here and there. Try and figure out how I want to run my coolant pipe from here to the front. Figure out what kind of fittings I need. I got to get a plug that hole off, a plug for this little guy, and I think I'm gonna redo this. I don't like it. Gotta do something about that. It's coming along. It's beautiful, boys. Beautiful. Anyway, that's it for now. That's your Cummins update. We'll go eat me some supper and sit on the couch. As always, keep it greasy. Deuces.